Welcome to the Phoenix Recap. I'm your boy Gabriel, and we're here again to speak about what we call match analysis. This is the segment where we dissect the semi-final and the final of the Johnny Minis episode 3, season 2, episode 3 that just ended. We had a new champion here in the nest. As you know how we do it here, we'll bring our prominent guests to speak today. I can tell you there's a lot of experience in the studio today. We have two men who have seen it all and have done it all. But just stay tuned. I'll be introducing them very soon. But as usual, as you know, life is a game. Press play. Welcome back to the studio. I told you that we have two prominent guests here. Well, let me say this. In the words of the famous William Shakespeare, he said, "Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice." That's why I'm here to listen with people I said have wisdom in the gaming scene, the FC scene. There are two men who I'll say they are OGs in this game. Let me introduce the first person. That man, the winner from the Gamer Tournament of 2025, we call him Imaji Farana. Some of you might know him as the teacher himself because of the wisdom he also has. Welcome to the studio, Imaji.
Yeah, it's lovely to be here. I'm here as a certified coach today, so obviously my analysis today is going to be top notch and top class.
Yes, that's what we're here for. And that man they call Mr. Oga is also here in the studio with us. The man who won the integral tournament early in the years. If you're an OG in the gaming scene, you will know how much Mr. Oga has contributed to this thing. And he's here with his wisdom. He also competed at the episode 3 of the students of the Johnny Minis. But he's here to give us the insight of what he felt happened here in the semi-final and the final. Imagine, let me start with you. We talk about tournament pressure. We talk about people achieving things that they've been looking for. And we in this episode also, we saw that with Yemi also getting to this stage for the first time. And also, we saw first timers here coming to shock some of the greats that have witnessed here in the nest. But for you, how will you say people who are new to tournaments, how will you say they handle that kind of pressure? And how is it competing at your first tournament, especially knowing that you are competing about people who have experience?
I'll use myself as an example. So before I started competing, I knew to a certain extent I was good. But obviously, you don't know how good you are till you come for a tournament and, experience it by yourself. But like, I had this confidence thinking I was going to win, So basically, I entered the tournament having it at the back of my mind that I want to win, instead of like, let me just come here and let me see what these people are all about. So I feel like you have this like confidence. If you're confident enough and like came here with like a plan and a purpose, you can really go far and like have an edge in future tournaments.
Oh yes, it comes to you, Mr. Oga. You competed in this episode, and what will you say is the difference between this season and last season? Because during the commentary, people were saying they are no longer bad players in the FCC. What's your opinion on that?
I think the pool is bigger now. There are a lot of players that actually think they are good enough to compete, and they are coming out here to prove themselves. We had a gamer who was his first time competing and got to the semi-finals. I think he actually beat me. So, there are a lot of good players. And I want to say, I think it's more difficult now. It's more difficult because it's not the usual guys anymore. You see somebody that you think you should beat just because you don't know him, which was how we used to think before. I mean, not being overconfident, but then we know the levels at which we play, so we just feel, oh, this guy doesn't come for tournaments, we should be able to beat him, and then it gives you a shocker. So that's the way tournaments are now. A lot of players are encouraging other players to come out for tournaments, and it's more interesting this way. It's lovely.
Yes. Yeah, we are speaking about first timers, and the first semi-final will be diving into is that one between the man we call him Merlin. Yeah, he had his one out throughout the tournament. Using the Nigerians, they say it's jazz, well, there are ways you use those skills to maneuver through the tournament. He got to the semi-final against another person who is a first timer here. That man we call Dahyour2. But for this game, I want to first start with their formations. Both of them used PSG. That's for Merlin, and that for Dahyour, he used the Madrid team. But for particular about the formation is Merlin himself. He went with the default formation for PSG Imaji. Is that something you see regularly, that people don't switch up the formations, or is something that is normal?
So for me, like competing, anytime I see people use like default formation, for me, it shows like probably lack of exposure to maybe online play, or maybe lack of them being in the community, especially if the default formation is not meta. And aside that, you also want to set custom tactics that, would enhance your gameplay and your play style. So when I see people using like default Madrid settings, I'm like, this is not real life. This is EA. This is not. So whatever default tactics they are using might not work like in the tournament. So that's how I felt looking at his because he used a 4-3-3. I don't see anybody using 4-3-3 these days. So I mostly see a 4-4-1-1, 4-5-1, and
4-2-3-1 wide sometimes.
4-3 exactly, which is even very rare nowadays. Like the most formations people use is 4-5-1, 4-4-1-1, and obviously 4-4-2. Probably there's even only one or two people like in the top like 32 right now in the world I would say use like a 4-4-2. So like a 4-3-3, that's the word one.
Let's dive into the game. You're saying the formation is well, but we saw him going all out even from the beginning. We saw the first goal in the 5th minute, but there are some things you noticed for that first goal. You said there was no offside trap being used to avoid that goal. Can you expand on that more?
So basically in FIFA there are like there are pressure points in the game and on the pitch where you have to do an offside trap to negate your opponent having chances in your box. So this is a common thing with Dahyour, especially even in his final match. He barely did any offside trap, and he was basically giving his opponent free opportunities to do a driven pass in the box, making it really hard for him to defend. Like he literally invited so much pressure, and he didn't, because he wasn't doing offside trap, there was no way to even calm the game down. So a lot of his goals were due to the fact that he allowed his opponent to settle into his box 18 and then ended up getting like received the driven pass, the striker turn, the typical FIFA goal when you allow somebody the chances in your box 18.
There was a lot of recycling for that goal, a lot of quick passes. Coming to you, Olga. In terms of the offside trap itself, what are the little moments, or where in the pitch do you really activate those offside traps, or do you allow your opponents to get even past the midfield line before making those offside traps?
I think there are a couple of places. First thing, you don't do an offside trap when your position is facing your goal and it's close to your box 18. It's very risky. It's usually when you pressure your position to turn backwards towards this goal, then you push your players out. Then secondly, when he wants to recycle, a very common goal we see in this game is recycling. You take the ball to the wings, you turn, waste a couple of times trying to bait your opponent, and then you take it back to the middle and take a driven pass to the center. So once the ball goes back to the middle, you step out. You have to do the offside trap. Otherwise, there will always be a free player at some point. I don't know how EA does it, but there will always be a free player. So once the ball comes to the middle and the player does the driven pass, it's always GG's at that point. So that's the point you have to do the offside trap. So I think those are the two most important places to run the offside trap.
Oh yeah, great. See, even speaking about defending, we saw cases. Some people say it's a rookie mistake. I think one thing, even if you're not a pro player, one thing everybody always tells you is that you don't rush out your centre backs. But we saw a chance yeah, that almost led to a goal. We saw Dyer rushing out Militar at that moment, and we saw the space being exploited, but unfortunately, he couldn't take the opportunity.
Yeah.
But how will you speak on that, Oga?
Like you said, it's a rookie mistake. So this game is about structure. At every point in time, you have to make sure that your back four are always in place. They're always where they're supposed to be. And this game, the AI marking is actually very overpowered. For those that know how to use it well, they know how difficult it is to break them down. So the moment you switch to your center back and you move him off position, the AI is not going to put somebody else there. That space will be there. And the reaction is usually kind of slow. So even when you take the cursor away from him, it takes him a couple of seconds to get back to that position, and you cannot be faster than the ball. So that space will always be open. So it's a rookie mistake. You're not supposed to move your center backs. Even if you press with your center back, you take the cursor away from him and move to your other center back or your midfielders. You're supposed to use your midfielders to mark till the last point. So that was one mistake that we shouldn't do.
No. Great insight there. Imagine I'm coming to you now. We saw a chance, because we know at pressure moments like this in knockout rounds, you have to take your chances.
Yeah.
But this was a mixture of great play, but in the end a good tackle. We saw the chance with Vinicius Junior, where you even noted that you were shocked that it was the green second man press that was used there to eventually make the tackle. But at that moment, one thing I find difficult to do in the game is knowing when to use the second man press, or even knowing how you use the AI to defend. But how would you speak on that chance itself?
So for the second man press, there are like so many areas, but like I would just say the basic ones, I think. Especially on the wings, to me, that's one of the best places you should use teammate contain. Because most people in football in general, you barely see anybody scoring directly from the corner flank. Right? Anybody that is going to the wings is trying to find his man in the middle. So you have to aim at stopping the pass from getting to the striker. So what that means is that the danger is not on the wings, the danger is in the box. So you have to always pick and choose in FIFA. That's the thing with defending. You have to pick what will lead, like what will give you the most issues, and leave the rest. That's just the best way to be a defender in FIFA. If you know that this guy running down the byline is going to cause more problems than him making the pass to the defender, you have to choose the byline and leave that defender. So basically it's a pick and choose thing. So for me, the wings is the least most dangerous place. So therefore, you should apply AI pressure there and then mark by cutting the passing lanes. Because you could actually, the thing with FIFA is you could go to like 1v1 the attacker, and the ball might go through your player. Like there's so many things that could happen, and it could really be. You can tackle, and the guy will make the tackle, and the ball will bounce back. I really don't want to hear any of that stories. So I'll just leave the AI there, and I'll try and intercept the pass. For me, that's the best option to take.
We see how there's always the blame for AA, because there are certain things that happen in the game that you wonder if it's down to your own skill or the game just basically hates you. But still speaking of chances, we saw Dyer eventually coming back into the game, and that was a really good goal for him. But how frustrating can it be when we see it during normal football matches where 1 minute is added, but in the end, you eventually play over 3 or 4 minutes, and you are wondering that why did the ref not blow at that moment? But for you, how will you speak on that?
I don't know. I really don't know what the ref is doing at that point, because I mean it's 1 minute and then we are playing till the 49th minute, four extra minutes. I don't know. So I mean the whole thing is, once you don't lose the ball, the referee does not blow, and you don't go back. So what everybody tends to do is keep the ball in and around the box 18. I know you keep probing until your opponent makes a mistake. So it's a difficult situation to be in, but sometimes I think the team press helps just to kind of hustle your opponents, force him to make some kind of quick passes, and then eventually passing to you. But then it can be pretty annoying considering at that point.
For that goal, we saw patience and the ability to recycle the ball to score. We spoke about team press, and one thing we saw from that man Merlin, it looked like, you know, in games where you have extra stamina in your backpack, and that was the constant thing we saw from Merlin. Well, you guys were quite critical about it. Oh, but how we imagine how you speak on that, because you know, obviously, for every skill that's in the game, you need to know when to use it and not overuse it. But what's your opinion on it?
We came to find out that he paid the price for abusing team press too much, right? Because he got scored, I think, late into the 80 minutes, and as at 78 minutes in the match, his players were literally drained of stamina, so they couldn't run back. So he was basically open to counterattacks. At first, when I saw the usage of his team press, I was impressed. But later on, I'm like, this guy is using it at every point in time. This is not how we use team press. At some point, your stamina would run down, and that's exactly what happened in the game. His stamina ran down, and he paid the price.
Oh yeah, even for the goal, we saw Fabian Ruiz almost drained. He tried to do the second one press at that moment, but he was on the red bar, and we saw a good goal from Dahyour to eventually win it. The advanced roulette with finesse in the end. How nasty is that move, Oga?
That's a very difficult skill move to mark once you don't time it well, and it's always beautiful to see. You know, when I saw that move, I was kind of expecting it, but it's a question of when is he going to do it. If you anticipate too early, you miss it. If you are late, you miss it. You just have to get it on time. And then sometimes you think, oh, he's going to do the advanced roulette, and you kind of jockey to wait for it, and the person shoots. So it's always a beautiful sight when you see that kind of goal. You know, it's a skill level that it's a skill move that I have not yet mastered. You know, I try to do it from time to time, and I miss it most of the time. But it's something that you should have in your locker.
Oh, great. I'll just point out something. You know, Oga is a true Arsenal fan. There was a time Arsenal fans were saying, if you give us the ball, you are the victim. If you don't give us the ball, you are still the victim. It's a great coach. But one thing we always comment from gamers is you need to know how to start, but you need to know how to finish. And then we saw some good game management from Dahyour in the end. Well, for you, how will you speak, and how can people improve on their game management in the game, Imaji?
So there's one major issue I have with gamers, which is they only play serious during tournaments. And if you do that, trust me, you wouldn't improve. Like, you will not improve. You have to play seriously off tournaments, so that when you come for tournaments, you don't need to have to lock in all the time, because you're already locking in at home. So now you play casually at home, you come here and you're like, okay, I have to lock in. Bro, you're supposed to have been locking in since like this is not the time for you to come and say you want to start. So my issue with like team game management is you have to practice it at home. You have to put yourself in situations whereby, like, you have to run scrims. You have to play your teammates, friends, whoever it is, play online. And then when you find yourself in those situations, then you practice. And that's how you get better. Most people don't practice game management at home. That's what I've noticed. They always come to tournaments and like, oh, I'm struggling to hold the ball. Oh, he collected the ball from... I remember when Baji almost ran mad the other time when he was playing. I can't remember who was playing, but like he considered in the last minute. I could say like 50-50 wasn't really his fault and all that, but like I would say he doesn't practice at home. You know, you have to practice at home so that when you come here, you know what to do. It's not like you come here and then it's a bunch of 50-50s. Like,
I think Oga even experienced the last minute thing. There was an opponent he played also. Yeah, the Johnny minutes. The score was 1-1. And the last minutes, while the person was trying to rant at the back, Oga just slid. And he imagine sliding in front of the keeper and the ball just going. So he destructed. That guy was shocked. He thought he was going to get 1 point from Oga. Yeah, that didn't work out. It's a great one, great start here for the match analysis. That was the first semi-final between Merlin and Dahyour, and the man, the prince, you could call him Prince Dahyour, eventually moved on to the final. We'll bring you the next semi-final between that man they call YemiXP. And a favorite for me because the man used Chelsea. The journeyman is also that man we call David. We'll bring you the analysis next. Just stay tuned, and always, life's the game. First play. Yes, we're back again in the studio, and I told you we're going to dissect the second semi-final, and this one is between that man we call YemiXP and the man Dhavid. He was here in this semi-final to try and prove a point and say, yes, I can still compete about the best of the best here at the Johnny Minis. A lot of people might have not expected him to get to this point, but the man he was also playing is someone who is also a seasoned veteran here at the Johnny Minutes. I hope we're diving into that game. Chelsea fans, there's a common thing with David this season. You've also got into a semi-final, and that man David used Chelsea also in this one. But before we even speak on the game itself, was that a shock for you guys, or is this Chelsea team you've thought about for the entire game?
Never. It's not even possible. Who am I looking for that is there?
No, certain players, even Enzo and the Santos that he used in this game, I think they had the incisive pass. I said it wasn't even the starting level for him, but those are certain players now. They have the technical ability, so he's movable.
I will argue he's a fan.
Well, you bring your passion to the game also. Let's quickly dive into the game. The game started kind of a cagey between both of them, but something we usually associate with foot, where it was used in this body corner kick routine. It didn't eventually lead to a goal, but what's your opinion on that?
That's the most meta corner kick people are using right now in the game, where you play the corner kick, you play a lock to the player that has the best heading abilities,
or even the height.
On height as well too, true, and then you knock it down for an incoming player, and first time shot is like that's the best way to score corner kicks right now. It's also not easy to defend at the same time, so everybody should look into it to be shown in the next few seconds and watch it.
Yeah, a good one. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to score from that chance, but the next thing we saw was Yemi on the counter with Stahoga. While we're watching it, Imaji said something that we don't see a lot of people crossing anymore, and that cross was quite deadly and effective. Well, for you, is crossing still something you still add in your game, or everybody is looking for that line-breaking pass, or you're trying to do the yo tiki-taka that the game has encouraged a lot?
I think this game is not a crossing game. At last FC that people are really crossing was 24, when you cross and you do the knockdown. So I was actually shocked that if I was in that position, I would have done something else, but the cross was perfect. It was perfect. And the thing with this game is, once you play a corner kick and you don't score, you're in trouble. Because the counter attack is usually fast. It's like your defenders and midfielders are just watching what the opponent wants to do with the ball, and then you see a lot of players just running forward, and it was a good goal. He did something unexpected. It was a very beautiful goal.
We saw that goal from Yemi, and we thought it was maybe going to be a good day at the office for him, but the man I would say was using Chelsea had something to say about that. Well, Maji, I'm coming to you. You were critical about the tracking of runs in this game. You know how much the game is transition based, but you were critical about Yemi's tracking of the run for Estevao in that moment. So how will you speak on that goal from David?
Okay, so I would say the more difficult a goal is to mark is when you have so many runs coming at you. So I could excuse him if it was that kind of goal, but for this particular goal, there was only one option he had to mark, and he failed to mark that, and that led to a goal. So you have to make sure on the wings you are keeping tabs on the wings, because wings right now is like one of the most dangerous places to be. People are throwing passes from God knows where, and they are running down the byline, spreading out the defense to exploit weaknesses. So wings are like important places in this particular FIFA, very important than it has ever been.
And for this one, David was able to get a goal through that mistake from Yemi. One thing we said about at the beginning of the game was composure and also experience here, and I think we saw a little bit of lack of experience from David, Mr. Oga. We saw there were times where at the very 57 minutes when he started maybe sliding so much, and those kind of things. Once you don't make those tackles properly, they eventually lead to your opponent scoring a goal. Well, how will you speak on his own composure in the game itself?
I think there were slight issues. Composure is very key in this game. I think this game is a combination of skill and composure. You can be a very good player, but the moment you're not composed, you won't be able to win so much in the game. So at that point, when I saw him defending and he was panicking, he didn't have a reason to panic. Yeah, he had players running towards him. All he should have done was just jockey and, cut passing lanes. But he was trying to get the ball in that transition, and he was sliding and spamming the box, stand tackle, and it almost led to a goal at that point.
Magic, coming back to you. I don't think except for maybe the Arsenal team, where maybe they're back for more naturally all centre backs. We saw something from David in this game. The back four he used were Badishio, Hatu, Tosin, and Chaluba as right back instead of James. Or maybe because of the height. Well, is that something you encourage players to do when selecting their team?
Okay, so I'll say this is like tech for Ultimate Team. In Ultimate Team, your defender has to be a certain height before he's considered lengthy. Now, lengthy is a running archetype for people that don't know, and lengthy is the fastest play style over time. So what that means is, if your defender that is lengthy starts running with another attacker that is controlled, over a long period of time, the defender is going to end up catching the attacker. So most people would prefer to have lengthy fullbacks. So when you throw those through balls over the stretch of that run, they will catch you at the end. So I'm guessing maybe that was the decision of choosing centre backs to play right back or left back.
Oh, unfortunately, those moves didn't work for him. You can say that because that one we call YemiXP. He said that today I want to be crowned a king and I need to be in that final. And for the goal he scored, you guys noted something about allowing that pass to get to the striker in the box, because we saw YemiXP, one particular thing, YemiXP using Kesa as his 9. I know Kesa has the first 9 plus, but that's not something you usually do in the game. But how will you speak on his defending for that goal itself?
So me, earlier I said it that like the wings, I rather use AI defending on the wings and then manually try and intercept the pass to the striker. But what he did was he manually tried to defend by himself, which is not a bad thing, like I said, but like the pass slipped through him just like an inch away, and these are things where you really don't want happening to you in a match of that magnitude. You want to make sure that the decisions you make, like you reap what you sow, basically. Now FIFA is a game whereby the AI could affect the game in certain ways, and your player might make the tackle and might not make it correctly. Now, in this certain instance, he was following the pass, but he was just an inch away, and the pass went to the striker, and it was GG's from there.
So we saw loads of finesse being used there by Kesa to knock down that man David. Unfortunately, he could not knock down the Goliath that was in front of him in that man YemiXP, advancing to the final. And it was it that we got our finalists. That man YemiXP against Dahyour2. That's the match we'll be going into next. I did tell you that at this place, a veteran was looking for that moment. He knows, everybody that comes into this nest knows that the peak of the peak of coming to the journeyman is making it to the ninth of champions. And that was what happened for these two. Yeah, we're going to battle in the final. We'll bring in the analysis very soon. As you know, as always, life is a game. Press play. And there were 66 players competed in this tournament, but we just had to find one champion. Our two finalists, YemiXP and that man we call Dahyour2, they were the ones who competed here at the final. The journeyman is season 2, episode 3. I'll be diving into how this game went off, because right from the off, we had I think we've seen, I think compared to other episodes, we've seen a lot of skill to score in this episode. And coming to Imaji, we spoke about the advanced roulette before, but this was also infected again with Gabriel. Well, for that goal, you said you would have switched to someone earlier at that moment. So we need to mark that move out. Well, how will you speak on the goal in general?
So the goal was a good goal. The true ball that led to him being in that position was as a result of what's his name? Dahyour not marking properly. But the position at which he pulled off that skill move is a 50-50, in the sense where if you read that he wants to pull the skill move and he runs forward, he has scored you. And if you think he wants to do the skill move and you back up and he shoots across goal, he has scored you. So basically you have to just, this is mind games 101 basically. You just have to read him. I don't know how you read him, but looking at it, I'm like, what about if I rush out goalkeeper to narrow his angle and expect the skill move at the same time?
Is it how we call you teacher? Is how we call you? Because I myself, I'm trying to download what you just said. And see, honestly, you know those moments, even rushing at the goalkeepers. There's periods last year when the goalkeeper movement was very effective.
Yeah.
I forgot that the triangle button worked at all. Any small thing you're trying to use the R3 to move the goalkeeper to another position. So, but now it's even been left to an extent in the game, and unfortunately, that wasn't able to prevent that goal early in the game. But it was still early moments, and we saw how the game was shaping up.
Yeah.
One thing we've been speaking about is team press or the side trap. And that was one thing you commented about Heung-min in the game. Even because I think from that moment, even before the goal, he used that to defend very well in his box. But for you, was that something you noticed in his game that was perfect for him?
So Yemi is a veteran. He's been doing this for a very long time. A good friend of mine as well. So he follows what is in the community. You know, we all know this as pros, you know, offside trap, team press. Now the application may vary, but he has his own way of applying it, which was if you are getting close to the box and you are trying to recycle, so instead of him waiting for you like a fish in a pond, he's going to put on team press and make it difficult. I always keep telling people, like, at the end of the day, like, you're going to concede, fine, but don't make it easy for your opponent. Do not make it easy. Make it as difficult as possible, even though, like, you might not achieve what exactly you are looking for, because the more you make it difficult for your opponent, the more you achieve mastery in whatever area it is you are trying to do, especially defending. So that's key.
That's a great insight from that man. I called him teacher before. He's lecturing us here in the studio. Moving to you, Oga. One thing we said is in this game we saw an equalizer from Dahyour in this game, and one thing we always say is you need to know how to track runs, and he said Yemi in this instance didn't cover the passing lanes properly, and that was what happened for Dahyour to be able to score that goal. How will you speak on the defending in that process?
So he did not track the runs. In this game, it's very difficult to track runs, especially when it's on the counter attack. You just see people throwing a lot of players forward. You have like 4 or 5 players all running forward. So if you can't press the ball immediately, you have to start switching to your defenders, especially your fullbacks, because most of these runs come from the wingers. So they send the right winger or the left winger forward to bait you. If you don't track, they throw the pass. If you do, they pass through the middle. So it's a game of numbers. Is how many runs you can track at that point in time. But when you don't have too many runners, you have just 1 or 2. You have to make sure that you track those runs. And Yemi unfortunately didn't do that, and he considered the equalizer there.
Yeah, when you equalize in this game, there's that level of confidence. And one thing that will be in your mind is, I have to take the next chance. We saw a chance, good movement to even get to that moment, because we saw Dahyour triggering some players. Many had even gone offside, but he returned back. But because Yemi was focused on Trameni at that moment, Dahyour was able to switch to make sure Vinicius gets into the box. But that shot went off the bar. How frustrating is it for your ball to hit the bar at every moment in the game, especially in a final like this?
Well, player luck. I say player luck. What do you call this?
Trigger runs.
Not even trigger runs. This new feature in the game right now. Instead of time shooting, we're using
load driven.
No, not even the load driven. The new shooting mechanic where there's no time shooting. Precision shooting.
Oh.
Right. So precision shooting now is like, the better you are at it, the more rewarded you will be. But at the same time, you can miss some sitters. And that chance reminds me of, like, in my head, I'm like, if he was using a system, we didn't miss that near push shot. I don't think he would miss that.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't.
Miss that near push shot, but it is what it is, I think, and I like the fact that, like, the precision shooting is what, like, the pro scene is using, because he adds a skill gap to what the skill gap is originally. So if you are good at using precision shooting, you will score most of your chances, and if you are bad at it, you will miss most of your chances. So it's a fair game.
Yes. Fair game it is, but balanced at that moment. What we saw next in 49th minutes was Yemi taking the lead, Mr. Oga. But I think one thing you guys said was that offside trap could have prevented that goal for 2-1. Well, how will you speak on the goal in general?
So, firstly, he did not switch well, which is actually very difficult to get your switching right in this game all the time. Because sometimes I use my sensitivity is 2, because I always want to switch to that next person. If I want to switch from my right back to my left back, I want to switch 3 times. I want to switch 1, 2, 3. Some people prefer to switch like once, so they increase their sensitivity to like 6 or 7. So he didn't switch well, and when you don't switch well like that, you already at like shot 1. The next thing you should try to do is turn on team press, so that your team is compact, your players, the AI is rushing your players out, and then your opponent does not have a lot of time to take a decision. You're forcing him to make a decision. Most times, your opponent will have to turn back, because if he forces the ball forward, then he's going to lose the ball. So I think if he had done that, he wouldn't have considered that goal.
Even at 2-1, we know there's confidence already brewing in you, and Yemi eventually even got the 3rd goal for 3-1. But one thing we were critical about was how he moved his left back at that moment. The wrong use of second man press also at that moment, because Newny would have had that chance just to get an easy goal. But for you, what did you see exactly in that move?
So Yemi was recycling around his box, and then I remember I got to a point in time where he could have decided to charge at Yemi manually with his left back, or use the teammate contain, or in fact, even not do anything. Now, he chose to use the teammate contain, and a space was created by the left back pushing up. Like, you need to understand that the higher level defending in this game, you only touch your full backs or your center backs only when necessary. Is it better for your opponent to approach you than for you to charge with your full backs? Because if there's an opening, we exploit it. Now, you need to understand the fact that your opponent is approaching you, it means that your opponent is going to take risk. But if you are the one that is going to meet your opponent, all he has to do is to create space and make a pass or dribble you. But it's always better for him to have to take the chance. That's why there are some players that will never win against other pros, because some people are safe, while some people are risk takers. If you're a safe player, meaning that you're not willing to advance forward, there are people that are willing to wait all day for you. They won't come. People, someone like Anif now, if you like, you're going to play safe against Anif, you will hardly win. Because Anif is going to wait all day. He will not come and meet you. You must come. So you must be willing to take risks. You must be willing to make the first move. So that's just FIFA for you. There are instances where you have to wait. There are instances where you have to go. And there is a balance. There is no set way of playing everybody, or no. It's a lie. Different scenarios, different answers.
Yes. We're speaking about answers. And one thing you know in this game is you can be a skiller, but you must know when to use those skills. For this one, we saw the Laqueta used by Dahyour here to get that goal. Go back in the game at 3-2. But for you at that moment, how do you really know the exact moments to use certain skills? Because you even know, even with the R3, it's very, very difficult to know that okay, they are moving the R3 in the right direction and getting the skill move. But for you, how do you speak on that skill move to that lets we go for that?
I think it's practice. You just need to practice it. Practice the different angles. I remember when I was trying to learn the elastico, I could do it at certain angles. I couldn't do it at certain angles. So I'll just be on my console, and for like a full match, I'll just be doing the elastico. So I could do it at some points. I was doing it 360. I'll start at a point and do it round and end at the same point. So I started with the reverse also. So when I could do that consistently, I knew, okay, I'm already good at this skill move. Let me try practicing another skill move. So it's about practice, because you do it now, you get it. You do it again, you won't get it. It's because you've not practiced it enough. And again, that goal was the best goal I saw this week. That was such a beautiful goal. Such a beautiful goal.
Really nasty one, because
I mean, the confidence to pull that off where you're
in the final again.
Yeah, in the final where you're down 3-1. No, that was a lot of confidence. And it's because he was sure that he could pull it off. He had practiced it enough to know that he wasn't going to miss.
He did not miss in that moment, because he knew that a chance to be at the night of champions was on the line. But during the episode 1 of this season 2, when Boyd was on here with us, and one thing he said was, he always knows that if he loses the ball, or there's always that moment that you might concede immediately from kickoff. He said you have to prevent your opponent getting into your box immediately once he kicks off. But we saw a kickoff goal here. Not the kickoff glitch, but the little moment between you restarting the game. We say opponents, when they score, they need to pause to make sure that moment gets out of the momentum fully dies against the person that has just scored against you. Imagine.
To be honest, like, we've been playing FIFA for a very long time, that I don't think there's anything that can wipe away the fact that there's kick-off glitch from my memories, man. Like,
Sometimes trauma.
Like, bro, like, we played FIFA for so long, like, there's kick-off glitch here and there. So once like somebody scores to us, whether it was a kick-off glitch or not, in our brains is like it's kick-off glitch. But the thing is, you are more susceptible to like conceding immediately after you score. And that's just the way FIFA is. Like, that's the way it has always been. And especially in tournaments whereby you score, your morale is high up there and you're like, okay, I'm finally leading. But you're like, bro, like, the game is not over. Better lock in. Like, if not, like, you end up losing the game.
So everyone wants to speak of something on the goal. You saw that the ball went through the defender's legs at that moment. How annoying can it be, Oga, for those kind of things to happen? Because you're wondering, you don't just expect to have a ball leg or something. why is it open at that moment for your opponents to be able to make that kind of shot?
I mean, stuff like that will make me wonder why he's still in my team because, I mean, I look at my bench and there might be better options. Why would... You're right there. Then why is the ball going through your legs? But then, again, it's FIFA, so many things happen in this game and you just feel like, EA, what are you doing? Like, what have you guys scripted into this game? So it's a FIFA goal. You mark well, but then... the goal will just go in because EA wants it to go in. So it's not really his fault. I mean, it was at the right place, but it didn't work out for him.
At that moment, yeah, and that was the goal that settled everything for that man, YemiXP. We say La Decima when Madrid won the 10th Champions League. We had the La Decima for our 10th winner. Yeah, the Johnny Mini series, and that was the man YemiXP. I was able to book that slot. Oga, before I let you know, we know Imaji is retired now. He's so big to play for us. We know you want to be there at the night of champions again. How eager are you for you to make your name there again?
I'm winning the next one.
You heard it, yeah. It was that man, Mr. Oga, and I'll be in the commentary booth to also bring that reference when he eventually wins the year at the Johnny Minis. You know how it is. Please subscribe to the YouTube page and always know that like and share and subscribe because more content will always come. And also, always know that the Zadok Non-X initiative is also active because we know gamers outside Lagos are also looking for the opportunity to come and compete here at the Johnny Mini. Also, follow the page PSM_NG and always know and remember, stay tuned here because we'll be coming back later again for episode 4. And remember, life is a game. Press play.